Hello and welcome to today's broadcast. Today we are going to talk about pre-diabetics and pre-diabetic conditions and our risk at getting Alzheimer's disease. So we know for this month we're going to be focusing on Alzheimer's disease and some of the signs and signals of dementia and how those are all really interrelated to a lot of the sugar type diseases that a lot of us women are suffering from. So welcome if you're jumping on live with us. I always appreciate you guys being here. Please take a second if you're new, hit that subscribe button on YouTube and that little bell notification so you will know when we go live. And for those of you jumping on Facebook with us, we always welcome you as well. That like button will get you into our notification stream as well. Today we have to rush through this content because we have to get our daughter to a dentist appointment. So I'm not going to be answering any questions or comments on today's live broadcast, but if you don't mind posting your comment in the rebroadcast comment section, I will go through tonight and welcome everyone and answer questions and comments there. So today's message will be short and sweet, but I need you to take this message seriously and I need you to think about the information I'm providing today and if this does apply to you. So we have heard the term type 3 diabetes. And we now know that type 3 diabetes is also how we are categorizing Alzheimer's disease. We know that Alzheimer's, dementia, a lot of these brain disorders that a lot of us are suffering from are directly related to some of the sugar complications that are happening to us as we are going through these hormonal changes and as we are aging. So pre-diabetic conditions are also being very seriously categorized as pre-dementia. And I want you to think about that very seriously. If you are suffering from a lot of the things that we share here, as we start feeling really bummed out about the life changes that are happening and the chemical changes that are happening and all of the hormonal changes that are happening to us as women, a lot of the complaints that we have are brain fog, absent-mindedness, forgetfulness, disorientation about where we are. A lot of those things that we take very lightly and for granted because we just think that it's because we're busy or because we're stressed or because we're not feeling good anyway. And we don't ever really think about those things being so directly correlated to the sugar diseases that we are trying to fight. So insulin resistance, hypoglycemia, pre-diabetic conditions, diabetic conditions are all now bunched together with dementia and ultimately Alzheimer's disease. So take this very seriously. 10% of 65-year-olds are affected by dementia and or Alzheimer's. 25% of 75-year-olds, and then sit down for this statistic, 50% of 85-year-olds. We also know that these sugar-related diseases, insulin resistance, hypoglycemia, diabetic conditions, metabolic syndrome, are on the rise, and they are affecting us as women in very early stages of our life. Again, Alzheimer's, dementia signs and signals are not our grandmother's diseases anymore. They're our disease, and they're our disease because we are being affected by these sugar-related diseases so early on in life. A lot of that is because of the problems that our body is having with this lifestyle that we have had as we have been going through the body image stages and how we'll do anything we can to lose weight, how we'll do anything we can to lose body fat, and how we have always put our physique before our internal health and well-being. I can say that very honestly and openly because I am also guilty of making nutritional and lifestyle choices based on the outward physical outcome that I'm going to get and not really considering the long-term internal effects that it could have on my body. So we know that those are the things that are now kind of catching up with us and are affecting us in ways we don't want to have to deal with. So we know that Alzheimer's, like I said, is now referred to as type 3 diabetes. So if you have been diagnosed with a pre-diabetic condition, that is when your A1C is at an elevated level. You usually get tested for A1C levels if your fasting blood glucose is over 100, or your doctor might test you for both. If you haven't had your blood sugar levels or your A1C tested recently, I highly recommend that the next time you go in and have a physical, you ask that they get tested so you know where you're standing, and you might be able to start putting some missing pieces to your puzzle together for yourself as well. So metabolic syndrome, insulin resistance, hypoglycemia, pre-diabetic conditions, we know that they end up in stages, and they grow in their severity as we move along the little spectrum of blood diseases. Hypoglycemia is usually the first thing. You can't go more than 2 hours without eating something, or your blood sugar drops and you start to feel like you're falling apart. Insulin resistance is that inability to lose body weight, our body storing fat, not being able to keep our insulin in control. We know that pre-diabetes is that next stage, and then we ultimately end up with diabetes and or these brain disordered sugar-related diseases as well. How do we know if we're fighting these blood-related diseases on the early end of them, and how that is affecting our brain health as well? Or could we be pre-dementia type patients? These are some of the signs and signals you need to look out for. Brain fog, unusual forgetfulness. So forgetting where you put your purse, or forgetting where you put your phone, or forgetting where you put your keys might simply be just because you have a busy life or you have a lot of things on your mind. But when it starts becoming problematic to the way you're living your life, or it's halting maybe some things that you need to get done because you seriously cannot find your phone or your keys or your purse, or you do like I did when I was suffering from a lot of this sugar-related brain dysfunction, was finding your phone in the refrigerator. I have been known to do those kind of things, or putting your keys in the pantry, or those simple things that, again, we can very, very simply write off as we're busy. But when you start to really put the pieces of your whole life puzzle together, it starts making sense why now those things are happening to you. And I think we need to take them seriously and stop just laughing them off as if we're busy. If I forget where I put my phone and it's in my purse where I usually put it, that seems very normal for me. But when I find my phone in the refrigerator, or I find my phone in the laundry room where I never ever put my phone, that's when we start to need to really start paying attention to some other things that might be connected to what's going on in our brain. Absent-mindedness, I mentioned, mental disorientation. So not remembering where you put your car, not understanding why you're standing in a room, why it is you're picking up the phone to call someone, but you have no idea who you're going to call. And furthermore, because now we don't even have memory recall of phone numbers, we don't need them because we store them in smartphones. Not knowing someone's phone number is another one of those things that we really need to be aware of, because that is that thing that we just aren't exercising that part of our brain, and we're going to lose that ability as well. Loss for words and inability to focus on tasks. Again, when it becomes problematic for your life and you are forgetting things that are of dire importance to you and how you go about your day, or how you go about your job, or the things that you need to get done, that's when we really need to start taking note of these things and start creating a paper trail of some of the signs and signals, and see if we need to get some further help or do some corrective measures. So being diagnosed as a pre-diabetic can mean that you have pre-dementia. I've talked about that already. I know for a fact that I was pre-dementia because of the signs and signals that my body was sending to me, and some of the occurrences that were happening in my life. So I'm taking this very seriously. The good thing, though, is that we can reverse a lot of this. I talk about this all the time here. If we catch these signs and signals early on. As soon as I was diagnosed as a pre-diabetic, the mental disorders that I was going through completely made sense to me. I now make decisions about lifestyle habits that I have, not based on how my body looks or how much I weigh when I step on a scale, but the lifestyle changes that I make and the lifestyle habits that I'm creating for myself, first and foremost, always have to do with how is this going to affect my brain. Because what you weigh on a scale or what you look like in a pair of jeans isn't going to matter to you if you don't even recognize yourself. And that is one of the very serious things that we need to remember about dementia and Alzheimer's and a lot of these brain disorders that we have that are based off lifestyle habits that we have created for ourselves. We have to make sure that the priorities that we are acting out in our life are in conjunction with the quality of life that we want to live, because that is going to be the thing that as we start to age is going to become of the utmost importance to us. We want to make sure it's not too late before we start thinking that way. Here in this community, we are proving every single day that creating an intermittent fasting lifestyle and a keto-like lifestyle where we are incorporating more healthy, naturally occurring fats into our diet, being very conscious about our carbohydrate intake, not eliminating carbohydrates, but making sure that the carbohydrates that we are consuming will in fact boost the quality of life that we want to live. When you start incorporating those two things into your life and then adding in some very sensible fitness routines, you can reverse a lot of these pre-dementia type signs and signals. Again, I can say that because I now remember where I park my car when I go to a grocery store. I can clearly and easily recall the names of my own children when I wasn't able to do that before. I can be very competitive in a game of Jeopardy with my husband. I talked about that last week. We play that specifically to keep our brain sharp and to be able to recognize how well we can recall information from our brain and get it from our brain out of our mouth. We need to make sure that we are aware of how we are participating in these type of life events so that we notice when there is a decline. So we talk about this here. Intermittent fasting and a keto-like lifestyle. The main focus for creating these lifestyle changes should really be based on the quality of life you want to live as you're starting to age, with the definition of aging successfully at the premise of those decision-making processes. If you are a woman who is still focusing on making lifestyle changes based solely on weight loss or how your body looks in clothes, you're going to miss the mark, because I promise you the changes that you are going to make are not going to be healthy for your brain. What we do to our body, we do to our brain. If you fix your body internally, you also have the opportunity to internally fix your brain as well. Your body and your brain are a team. They work in conjunction with one another. If you're suffering from sugar-related issues on your body, your brain will also be suffering. If you fix the sugar-related issues in your body, you will also have the opportunity to fix your brain if you catch them early enough and you take them very seriously. I can tell you that if you start working from the inside out with your health, wellness, and overall well-being, the weight loss will happen. The physique changes will happen. The anti-aging aesthetic effects will happen. But you have to fix your body on the inside first. You have to give your brain an opportunity to heal itself, and then everything else will soon fall into place. Ladies, if you're in this community, now is the time to take this seriously. Alzheimer's is on the rise. Those percentages that I read off for you are going to start to skew to that earlier age. We know that 1 out of every 2 people is either going to end up with Alzheimer's, or you're going to be a caregiver of someone with Alzheimer's. Let's do the work now while we still have the ability to make conscious choices for ourselves, and we still have the mental capacity to live within our own life. This is not a diet. This is not a short-term fix. This is a lifestyle change that we are creating, and we know now that if we get our insulin levels in control and we get our blood sugar regulated, that we have the opportunity to manipulate whatever we want to have going on in our body for the better. So let's concentrate on fixing our body from the inside and stop worrying so much about the aesthetics, The aesthetics will follow suit when your brain and your body are healed. Like I said, I don't have time today to answer any questions or comments because we got to shoot ourselves out the door to get our daughter to a dentist appointment. So if you don't mind, please leave comments in the comment section on Facebook and on YouTube as soon as this posts. If you have something you would like me to see or something that you would like me to address with you personally, just leave a comment in the comment section and I promise you I will get back to comments today. For those of you who feel like maybe you are pre-diabetic and pre-dementia, please make sure that you register for our January 4th Intermittent Fasting for Today's Aging Woman course. We will launch our first course in 2020. I'm so excited on the 4th and I would love to have you with us. We really do focus on healing your body and teaching you how to create a lifestyle that will make you happy and healthy. And we do that as a community inside our course. So I'd love to have you. I will see you guys back here on Wednesday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you so much for understanding that we got to rush out of here. I appreciate you guys being here and I look forward to hearing your questions and comments when I circle back around in a little while.